Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into something that's really moving beyond the big tech labs and becoming a practical tool for your business. I'm talking about AI agents. These aren't just theory anymore. They're shaping how small and medium businesses, SMBs, actually work. So our mission today is pretty clear. We want to break down what these digital coworkers really are, and crucially, we'll unpack the big choice, open source versus proprietary. What's the difference? We want to give you a framework, basically, to make that call for your own strategy. Because this isn't just about cool tech, right? This is about your bottom line, your time, maybe even doubling what your business can handle. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's start right there. When we say AI agents, what are we really talking about? Are they just like fancy chatbots, or is it more?
That's a great place to start, yeah. Because they are definitely more. Think of an AI agent as an intelligent piece of software. It's designed to understand its environment, figure out goals, and then, this is the key part, take autonomous action to reach them. They're sort of like digital coworkers. They learn, they adapt, they make decisions, and they get better over time. What's really fascinating here is this idea of the agentic shift. Traditional automation tools, they're pretty rigid, rule-based. If something unexpected comes up, they often just break. AI agents, though, use things like natural language processing, NLP, to really get the nuance of how people talk. They use machine learning to adapt to changes, handle complex multi-step jobs. Like, imagine an agent that doesn't just follow a script, but actually understands the context of a conversation. It remembers past interactions, and it learns how to, say, schedule a meeting properly, or process an invoice, or even proactively ping a sales lead, all by itself. It's a big leap from just static instructions to, well, dynamic intelligence.
Right. So if you're an SMB owner and you're always juggling, limited staff, tight budgets, trying to keep up with the big guys, this sounds like it could really be something. How does it hit those specific pain points?
Exactly. That's where it becomes super relevant for SMBs. These agents directly tackle those persistent problems that keep business owners awake at night. Instead of thinking, I need to hire 3 more people, you can use these agents to basically boost your team's capacity without all the overhead. The benefits really come down to three main things for SMBs. First, a big jump in productivity. Second, more opportunities to actually increase revenue. And third, direct cost savings, because you can shift your people to, higher value work. Just think, an AI agent can work 24/7. No breaks, no sick days, no downtime. Our sources suggest a business could potentially almost double its daily interactions this way. And it's not just about replacing people. It's a fundamental change in how you operate. It frees up your human team for the stuff that really needs, empathy, judgment, strategic thinking. Imagine an agent reaching out to new leads about a sale automatically, or booking meetings seamlessly without all that email back and forth.
Yeah, that scheduling headache alone.
Exactly. That's not just saving time, it's unlocking a whole new level of efficiency and maybe even customer service.
Those are definitely powerful ideas. But, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. We've heard the potential, but I'm curious about the actual numbers. What kind of real-world ROI are businesses seeing? Is it significant?
Oh, absolutely. And the ROI isn't just concrete, it's often surprisingly fast. We're seeing businesses put in modest investments and get strong returns, sometimes in just a few months. Across different sectors, the results are pretty impressive. Take retail, for example. You've got AI agents acting as personalized shopping assistants. They're boosting average order value AOV by maybe 15 to 25%, and cutting return rates by 20 to 35%. That's huge in inventory. They're forecasting demand so accurately they can cut carrying costs by 20, even 30%. For services like accounting, consulting agents are streamlining all that admin work. Bookkeeping, invoicing, they spot discrepancies, free up the human experts for actual advisory work. So firms get faster, more accurate. Even in manufacturing, we saw a case where a small firm cut costs by 30% in just a year with automated inventory management. Plus, they reduced defect rates by 35% using AI for quality control.
Wow, those aren't trivial numbers at all.
Not at all. These are major shifts in profitability.
And the case studies really make it tangible, don't they? Seeing how actual businesses are using this, like Webflow. They saved over 300 hours a month just from an AI tool helping their support staff find information faster. That's like getting a whole extra employee, basically. Or Super.com. Over 1,500 hours saved monthly. Plus, they onboarded new employees 20% faster using an AI knowledge tool. The co-founder said it answered complex questions in seconds. Pretty amazing. And that small manufacturing firm you mentioned, they cut costs by 30%. But the really interesting part, they reinvested 20% of those savings back into more AI. That shows a real cycle of improvement, right?
Exactly. A strategic, focused approach.
There was also an independent consultant who boosted qualified meetings by 40% and spent zero time scheduling after just 3 months. all thanks to an AI chat assistant. And this one's wild. A restaurant chain generated an extra $285,600 in revenue per location per year, just from automated booking systems handling more reservations.
Yeah, handling about 180 extra bookings a month per location.
These are real direct gains,
Yeah.
not just fuzzy potential.
They absolutely are. And it naturally raises the question, why do some companies see these amazing results while others struggle? What separates success from the common pitfalls? Well, successful projects aren't just about the tech. They're really rooted in a strategic, business-first mindset. The biggest mistakes we see. People overestimate how fast it'll all work.
Right. Impatience.
Yeah, they expect perfection right away. But AI agents need time to learn to tune themselves to your data, and underestimating how tricky integration can be, especially if you have older systems. Legacy tech can be a real hurdle. The best practice, time and again, start small. Find one clear, measurable problem, run a pilot program, keep the scope tight, iterate. Then think about scaling. That focused learning approach is often way more valuable than trying to find the single perfect tool right off the bat.
Okay, so let's say you're convinced AI agents could really help your business. Now you hit that big fork in the road. Do you go open source or do you go proprietary? Let's really dig into this divide. It feels like it's about way more than just the software itself.
Absolutely, it's a fundamental choice. And it really comes down to, I'd say, three main things: the code, the level of control you have, and the expertise it requires from you. With open source, the actual source code is public. Anyone can see it, use it, modify it. This means you can actually tweak it, fine-tune the AI models using your own unique business data. You can essentially teach the AI to understand your specific jargon, your customers, your workflows. That gives you incredible flexibility, transparency, and really importantly, data ownership. You can choose to host it yourself, keep sensitive data in-house, huge for control and compliance, but, and it's a big but, that power demands serious technical chops internally.
Right, you need the people who know what they're doing.
Exactly. You need skilled data scientists, engineers, people who can actually work with that code, manage the infrastructure. And typically with open source, you don't get formal service level agreements, SLAs. No guarantees on uptime, performance, or support. If something breaks, it's on you. The transparency is good for security audits, though. You can check for vulnerabilities yourself.
Okay, so that's open source.
Yep.
What about the other side, proprietary?
Right, proprietary. Here, the code is closed. It's owned by a single vendor, like a Salesforce or a HubSpot or one of these newer AI companies. You usually access it through APIs, those are application programming interfaces, basically ways for software to talk to each other, or maybe a user-friendly website or app. This generally offers a much more plug-and-play experience. Implementation is often turnkey, and you get solid vendor support. They have teams dedicated to helping you. Customization, though, is usually limited. You can tweak settings they give you, but you can't fundamentally change the underlying model. And your data, it's often processed on the vendor's cloud servers.
Which raises questions for some people, right? Data location, privacy.
Exactly, data sovereignty concerns. And it can also tie you into their specific way of storing data, which might make it hard to switch vendors later. That's the vendor lock-in risk.
That leads perfectly into integration and scalability. With open source, it sounds like connecting it to your existing tools, your CRM or whatever, could be a pretty big project in itself. And making it scale up if you grow, that's also on you, isn't it?
Precisely. Integrating open source AI with your current tech stack. Yeah, that can take significant development work. Custom coding, testing, and scalability. Totally depends on your ability and, frankly, willingness to invest. You need the hardware, the engineers to manage it, to make sure it runs reliably 24/7. That's what we call production-grade deployment. It's not trivial. Now, for proprietary solutions, it's generally a much smoother ride on that front. They're often designed to plug right into common SMB tools. Think HubSpot, Salesforce, Calendly, Shopify, those kinds of platforms. Integration is usually much faster. And the vendor handles all the scaling, the patching, the monitoring. If you suddenly have way more users or data, it's their job to make sure the system keeps up. Performance is usually predictable.
So it's their headache, not yours.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, let's talk security and data ownership. This is huge for any business, especially if you know customer payments, health info, anything sensitive.
Absolutely critical. With open source, the big win is self-hosting. You can keep all your sensitive data right there within your own systems. That gives you maximum control, makes compliance easier, especially in regulated fields like finance or healthcare. But, and here's the trade-off again, you are responsible for securing it, patching vulnerabilities, setting up firewalls, all of it. With proprietary, your data lives on the vendor's cloud. Now, these vendors usually have very robust security. They'll have certifications like SOC 2 or ISO.
Industry standards, basically.
Right, proving they follow strict data protection practices. But ultimately, you're trusting their systems and their data handling policies, and that vendor lock-in we mentioned can apply to your data too. Getting your data out in a usable format if you want to leave can sometimes be difficult or costly. So proprietary offers convenience and often strong security measures handled for you. But open source gives you that ultimate control over your data, which could be a really key long-term strategic advantage.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical for SMBs. Many of us see free open source software and think, great, that's the cheapest option. But as we're starting to see, the total cost of ownership, or TCO, is way more complicated than just the price tag on the box, or the lack of one. Let's really unpack that TCO.
You've hit the nail on the head, yeah. That free idea can definitely be a mirage. Let's break down proprietary TCO first. There might be upfront costs like licensing fees or paying for professional services to get it set up just right. That can be significant depending on the vendor. Then you've got ongoing costs, usually a subscription. It might be per user, per conversation the agent handles, or based on how much processing power tokens it uses. The good thing is, it's predictable. You know roughly what your bill will be each month. Good for budgeting, but it can get expensive if you use it a lot. Think Microsoft Copilot, maybe $30 per user per month on top of Office 365. Or Salesforce Agentforce, potentially charging around $2 per conversation. It adds up.
Predictable, but potentially high. Okay, now for open source. The software is free to download. So where do these hidden costs creep in that can catch you off guard?
Right. This is where the mirage effect is strongest. That free download is just the beginning. First, you often have significant capital costs, CapEx, buying servers, setting up the infrastructure to actually host and run the AI models. Then the big one, talent. You need skilled AI developers, machine learning engineers, data scientists. Their salaries are high, easily $90K, $150, sometimes more annually.
And those people aren't easy to find either.
Not at all. Then there's the time and effort for integration, customization, and crucially ongoing maintenance. That takes developer hours. Building even a basic custom chatbot, that could easily be 40 to 80 hours of development time. At typical freelance or agency rates, that's $4,000 to $8,000 right there just for a simple start. Suddenly that free software has a very real price tag. And then there are the universal hidden costs. These bite you regardless of whether you go open source or proprietary, and they can seriously mess up your ROI calculations if you ignore them. Data preparation is often the biggest. Cleaning your data, labeling it so the AI can understand it, setting up governance, this can easily eat up 20–30% of the entire project budget.
Wow, 20 to 30% just getting the data ready.
Easily. We're talking costs from maybe $10,000 for a small project to potentially over $1 million for really large-scale stuff. Most SMBs just don't budget for that. Another hidden cost, technical debt and maintenance. AI isn't set it and forget it. Models need continuous updates, retraining. Why? Because the real world changes. Your customer behavior changes, market conditions change. This causes model drift, where the AI's accuracy degrades over time. You need to constantly monitor and maintain it. For a small team, that ongoing burden can lead to what some call maintenance burnout. They're just constantly fixing and tuning. And finally, don't forget training and support for your own staff. People need to learn how to use these new tools effectively. That costs time and money, maybe hundreds or thousands per employee. Often overlooked, but critical for actually getting value.
So if you're that SMB owner trying to figure out the budget, it really sounds like that initial free promise of open source just evaporates pretty quickly. A typical small pilot project, once you factor in hardware, talent, data prep integration, you could easily be looking at $50,000 to $100,000 just to get started properly. It really drives home that point. No subscription fee for open source might actually hide much bigger, less predictable, and potentially riskier financial burdens down the road. Okay, so this makes it crystal clear. Choosing the right path. Open source, proprietary, it's not just a tech choice. It's fundamentally strategic. It has to align with your business's actual capabilities, your budget realities, and what you're trying to achieve long term. It really boils down to your appetite for risk, doesn't it? And how ready you truly are.
That's exactly right. It's about strategic alignment and risk tolerance. Each path carries distinct strategic risks. For proprietary solutions, the big one we keep mentioning is vendor lock-in. You become heavily reliant on one company's specific technology, their APIs, their infrastructure. Switching later, even if a better or cheaper option comes along, can be incredibly difficult and expensive.
You're kind of stuck.
You can be, yeah. And you're also tied to their decisions. What if they raise prices? Or discontinue a feature you depend on? You have limited control over that. Now, for open source, the main strategic risk is probably technical debt. Taking shortcuts early on to get something working quickly, those decisions can pile up. They create inefficiencies that make it harder to scale or innovate later. It becomes brittle. And since there's usually no formal support contract, you carry the full burden of security management. For an SMB with maybe a small IT team or none at all, that can be a huge ongoing risk. Total control means total responsibility.
So how do you, as the business owner listening right now, figure out if you're actually ready? How do you assess your situation? We can adapt something like the Cisco AI Readiness Framework. Think about it in terms of a few key areas. First, technical capability. Do you have people, or can you realistically hire and retain them, who understand data science, engineering, AI? And for an SMB, maybe it's not about having a whole data science team. Maybe it's just, do you have someone comfortable experimenting, troubleshooting, maybe managing a vendor relationship? Or are you really looking for something you can just turn on and use? If it's the latter, yeah, a managed proprietary solution probably makes more sense financially. Second, budget allocation. Can your business handle a potentially large upfront investment CapEx for hardware and talent? That's often the open source route. Or does your cash flow work better with predictable monthly operating expenses, OpEx like subscriptions? That's a proprietary model, and often much easier for SMBs to manage. And third, timeline and goals. How fast do you need this? If you need quick deployment, low-risk experimentation, proprietary usually wins on speed. But if your goal is deep, long-term customization, building unique capabilities, maybe disrupting your industry, then open source, while slower, might be the better foundation, even if the initial pilot takes months.
And this is crucial. Whichever path you lean towards, you absolutely must think about governance. Implement a human-in-the-loop framework, often called HITL. Seriously, this is non-negotiable. It means ensuring a human can always oversee, step in, correct, or override the AI's actions, especially for sensitive stuff like financial decisions, legal communications, handling customer data.
Right, a safety net against mistakes or those weird AI hallucinations.
Precisely. It's safeguards against errors. And beyond HITL, your governance needs to tackle data bias, security, compliance. There was a study late last year, I think, found 53% of tech leaders said security was their top challenge with AI agents. You need clear, transparent policies on how these agents handle customer data. That's fundamental for building trust, both inside your company and with your customers.
Okay, the market for these AI agents is just buzzing right now. It's changing so fast with tons of different solutions popping up. Let's try to map out the current landscape a bit. How can you, the listener, start to navigate all these options?
Yeah, it's definitely dynamic. On the proprietary side, you've got established players and exciting newcomers. Companies like Vendasta are interesting. They're pitching an AI employee concept. Their pricing, like $79 to $799 a month, seems really targeted at SMB accessibility. You also see Lindy, Microsoft Copilot, which we mentioned is about 30 use per month if you're already on Office 365. HubSpot has Breeze. Salesforce has Agentforce, maybe around $2 per conversation. Intercom has Fin AI, charging per resolution, maybe 99 each. So lots of options, different pricing models, different features. They're mostly aiming for that turnkey, quick-to-value approach.
And on the open source side, we mentioned the need for expertise, but what are some names people might hear?
Right. For those willing to build, you have powerful frameworks. Things like Crew AI, Autogen, LangChain are popular. They give you the building blocks, incredible flexibility for deep customization, but again, requires that significant technical investment. But here's something really fascinating and maybe the most practical development for many SMBs right now: the rise of AI agent marketplaces.
Okay, marketplaces, like an app store for AI agents.
Exactly like that. This is a huge trend. It's basically a direct answer to the fact that, most SMB owners are not AI engineers and don't want to be. Platforms like Enso or Agentive Hub, they're essentially curated directories. They offer pre-built mini agents designed for specific tasks. The whole experience feels much more like buying a standard software as a service tool, a SaaS product, rather than grappling with complex AI. Costs are often low, maybe under $50 a month for specific agents. Setup is often no code or low code. This is huge because it democratizes access. It dramatically lowers the barrier to entry for agentic AI. The really key insight here isn't just that these marketplaces exist, it's that they're changing the game for SMBs. They're turning what used to be a complex build versus buy engineering decision into something much simpler, choosing the right pre-built tool from a store. For a lot of businesses listening, the big strategic question soon might not be open source or proprietary, but which marketplace offers the agents we need?
That's a really compelling shift. Okay, so wrapping this all together, based on everything we've discussed, what are our core strategic recommendations for different types of SMBs listening? Let's say you're an SMB, you're tight on resources, and you need something predictable that gets results reasonably quickly. What's the advice? For that profile, a proprietary turnkey solution, maybe like a Vendas or a Lindy, or something integrated into your existing CRM, was probably the smartest bet. The predictable subscription costs fit operating budgets, and the vendor handles the heavy lifting. Infrastructure, security, updates. It's a clear package. Now, what if you do have some technical skill in-house, maybe a developer or two, and you have a longer-term vision? You want deep customization, maybe build something unique. For that technically proficient SMB aiming for innovation, yeah, an open source framework could be the right path. It demands that bigger upfront investment in talent and maybe hardware, yes, but it gives you unparalleled control, avoids vendor lock-in, and offers maximum flexibility to build exactly what you envision. And finally, for the maybe largest group, the typical non-technical SMB owner who just wants an accessible way to start leveraging this without hiring a data scientist or getting locked into a huge platform. For them, these emerging AI agent marketplaces look like a fantastic new option. They let you bypass a lot of the complexity of both traditional proprietary and open source. You can find specific ready-made agents for particular problems, often at low cost, and get started without needing deep technical knowledge. It's a great low-risk entry point.
Absolutely. And it kind of circles back to a fundamental question, right? Whichever path you choose, proprietary, open source, marketplace, what are the common threads in successful implementations? It really comes down to those best practices we touched on. Start with pilots. Focus on high impact, but maybe lower risk areas first, like customer service bots or maybe generating marketing content. Relentlessly focus on improving a specific process. Don't just throw tech at a problem. Maintain that human oversight. The human in the loop framework is critical. And measure everything. Continuously track performance, get feedback, and iterate. That agile learning approach is absolutely key to getting real sustainable value from AI.
Well, that was definitely a deep dive into AI agents for SMBs. I think the big takeaway is that this decision, open source, proprietary marketplace, it's not just about the technology itself. It's really a strategic choice that has to align with your specific business needs, your team's capabilities, and your vision for the future. It's about finding the right way to empower your business to do more, maybe smarter, not just harder.
Exactly. To really make this work, you've got to approach it strategically, always putting the business need first. Define the problem clearly. Pilot solutions carefully. Establish strong governance, especially that human-in-the-loop oversight. Remember, you're not just installing software here. You're fundamentally augmenting your team's skills, freeing them up, and hopefully unlocking new levels of productivity and maybe even growth.
So as you, our listener, think about this powerful technology. The question to really mull over is how will you use AI agents? Not just to automate the tedious stuff, but maybe to build deeper customer trust, unlock your team's hidden potential, and ultimately redefine what's actually possible for your business in this fast-changing world. Something to think about until our next deep dive.